For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Ben Mulwana. How's it going today, Ben?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Good.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Just enjoying it's weird that it's April already. I swear it was just January, like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quick this year is going by.
It is. It's moving so fast. I think at some point in March, I honestly thought it was summertime. I thought it was going to be summertime in like the next few minutes.
Yeah. It's just one of those situations where I feel like I say that every year, but this year just specifically because like 2020 ran forever because of the whole COVID pandemic and whatnot. But this year it's just wow. So
yeah, it will slow down, I think.
I hope so. I really do. Yeah. But really excited to have you on. Really want to talk to you about your music, your upbringing, all the fun stuff, and the new single you got out and everything else you got going on in 2022. For the people that are just getting to meet you for the first time, like all my listeners that are meeting you for the first time, let's give them kind of a introductory to who you are and kind of a brief background story.
Yeah, so my name is Ben Mulwana. I born and raised in Uganda. My father actually worked for a company, World Vision, that moved him around quite a bit. So it ended up not affecting us in a bad way at all. We got to see the world a little bit, or a few countries. So that is how I actually ended up in the United States. My father got a contract to work in DC. So then I moved here when I was about 18. And since then, about a year and a half into moving to DC, I actually moved to Wisconsin. That is why I'm based in Wisconsin at the moment. I came here to do college. The funny story is I came and visited in the summer and bought the lie. And I moved here, but I'm here now. I started playing music, honestly, in high school. But just a little bit. I didn't really play a lot of instruments. I started playing the guitar then. And I started taking music way more seriously in 2019. So haven't been at it way too long, but I started taking music seriously in 2019, released my first project. Then in it's called Wanunawe in June. And this is where we are. I can kind of talk a little bit about the rest of the story as we go forward here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So your dad was kind of the reason that you came to the U.S. because he had a contract job. What are some of the other countries that you visit or that you were able to kind of visit growing up?
Yeah, so we lived in Tanzania for actually I think that was the shortest one. We lived there for probably a month, 2 months, and then we had to move. And one of the toughest things moving, again, making friends and having to leave them very shortly thereafter. I lived in Kenya. That's where I did my high school. I lived there. That's actually where I started playing music, or playing guitar and trying to learn and singing. In high school. And then at a moment, we lived in Ethiopia. That wasn't very long either. And then we lived in the United States.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What kind of prompted you to pick up the guitar while you were in high school?
This is a little bit embarrassing story, but I was talking to a girl that I really liked.
Sure.
And I think it starts that way for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was talking to this girl I really liked, and actually, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I just remember her saying, I really like guitar players. And I remember my heart sinking at that moment. Realized I knew nothing about playing guitar and it looked complicated. But my father actually played guitar,
Okay.
and he used to pull it out when we were, in Uganda, getting ready for bed, or I just kind of sitting around in the living room, sitting around outside in the evening, and he used to play on it. And actually, he and my mom met in college in a college band for the University of Makerere, which is in Uganda. So I went back home. I knew my sister also kind of knew how to play, and I asked them to teach me a few chords. And they did. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't enough. I really wanted to impress this girl. And so I pulled up, all the amazing artists that I could think of at the time, and John Mayer was at the top of the list.
Okay.
So I learned how to play Slow Dancing in a Burning Room.
Nice.
Yeah, which is a really bad song to play for a crush now that you think about it. It didn't go well, but I really, really fell in love with music at that time. And yeah, that's how I got started.
Nice. And so John Mayer, you were doing just a John Mayer cover. That was kind of your jumping off point as to like what you were trying to learn, or right? Yeah.
Yeah, really it was. Slow Dancing in the Burning Room, I remember it so clearly. And then after that, I started to play all the songs that we played around the house. I grew up on a lot of gospel, a lot of gospel songs. I grew up on, Michael Jackson, Cyndi Lauper, Whitney Houston, Kirk Franklin, Ron Canoli, that type of music. So I would just try and play what I could.
Yeah. I feel like when you said Michael Jackson, that just kind of hits home to me, because that's, it's one of those consistent like musicians that keep getting brought up across pretty much every podcast, whether it's like a rock group, rap group, country, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson just kind of keeps getting brought up. And I think that just speaks to his mass appeal, even though he was like quote unquote pop music especially later on in his career. So that's always, I just had to bring that up because that's always kind of interesting. So
yeah. He was very, very popular, even in more than just music in Uganda growing up. He was almost like a humanitarian, always cared for, or sung songs that cared for, or that spoke about issues that were going on in our country. So it's a very, very big influence in past music. So I think, honestly, that's why a lot of people just gravitated towards his music and him as a person.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. So you came over to the US about 12 years ago at this point, or is it a little bit less than?
Yeah, about 12 years ago at this point, yes.
You came over to the US and first landed in DC, and then came to Wisconsin during the summer, bought the summer lies of what Wisconsin's all about.
Yeah.
What was it about Wisconsin that just kind of drew you in? Obviously the summer lie, but what?
Yeah. So I'll tell you this story. I had a friend of mine that actually we were in high school together in Kenya. And she knew I was looking for a place to transfer and finish or start my kind of college. So she told me, hey, take a look at Carthage College, which is here in Kenosha. Take a look at it. They great scholarships. It's a great school, great campus. And I look it up online, and the pictures that come out are beautiful. It's next to the beach. People having fun, playing volleyball. And it was a dream. So, I'd visited, she told me you should visit in June. And I remember I came in June, and man, the sun was beating on your face. It was warm, and you had the lake breeze, and everything just seemed amazing. I literally thought to myself, this is where I want to spend the rest of my life. This is so cool. And the people were really nice too. And then when I came back in September, when school was starting, I remember my parents hopping in the car and leaving, and just about the moment they left, the cold breeze came off of the lake, and I knew right away I had messed up. But but I was there, and I had to deal with it. So yeah, that's how I ended up in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Like, I mean, nothing will toughen you up quicker than a nice, good old Wisconsin winter there.
Yep. Yeah.
But and so you ended up going to Carthage, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I had a couple of friends that went to Carthage that I had grown up with. So that when you said that, I was like, oh, I know that school. That's yeah.
It's nice. It's I love it.
What did you study when you went to school?
I actually went for math and computer science.
Okay.
I graduated with math major and computer science minor, which I know. I think a lot of musicians also do math, but I really wanted to do music. And I know growing up in our family, it's always like you're becoming one of two things: an engineer, a doctor, and maybe a lawyer if you're good at the languages and things like that. So engineer it was for me, and that's why I studied that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
makes sense. And when did you end up graduating? Was that
in 2015?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you had graduated, and I'm assuming you ended up getting a job and before you started taking music seriously and all that stuff. Or...
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I played a little bit in college. I actually started a band there, but I knew it was one of those things that we were always told this is a hobby.
Yeah.
Growing up. So I started a band. It was really fun. It was called 21 Hours.
Okay.
And we played cover music. That's the first thing that we did was a student spotlight thing on the campus. And it was really cool. I had a lot of fun. And then after that, I kind of had a little bit of a hunger now. So I went to the open mic, to an open mic here in Kenosha at a place called Sassy B. And I had a great time. I thought, man, this is really something cool. And so at that point, I started to kind of play out here and there. It was really hard to get into the music scene. But for me, it wasn't anything that I was thinking this is maybe not going to be even long term. So it doesn't matter kind of trying to break in. But the more I kept trying to play and the more opportunities I got, the hungrier I got for it. So I did get a job, but it was almost for me like the job was the just the part-time. I almost committed most of my time just trying to play and trying to play in different places. Yeah.
It was basically something to fuel your music passion.
Correct. And pay for it. Yep.
Yep. I understand that all too well, 100%. And so once you graduated 2015, you started doing like open mics and stuff. At this point, were you starting to write your own music, or was that not until like 2019 when you started taking it more seriously?
Yeah, no, I hadn't written my own music till about 2019. I started a little bit in the end of 2018. Actually, what was happening is I was changing my status with citizenship status, or residency status, I should say, here in the United States. So I knew I wasn't going to be working at all in the whole year of 2019. And so that's why I said, you know what, I'm going to have a whole year to do absolutely nothing. So I should commit it to just music. And that's when I started to write.
And during those early stages of your writing, what were you writing about? Was it more life experiences, or was it like storytelling? Like, what were you writing about?
So I wrote about everything and everything, right? So the first obvious couple of songs were about life experiences. I had gone through a breakup that I think almost every musician has written about. It's that cautionary tale to everybody else: don't date a musician. A song might come out about you. And so I wrote about that, and then I wrote about what was happening to me in 2019. I was kind of in this limbo with obviously the permanent residency applications and things like that. It kind of felt like it was just up to chance. But a lot of people were surrounding me, and a lot of people were there for me. And I ended up writing a song called Wano Nawe, which in Luganda means here with you. So I kind of, that was something that came almost too easy, because it was something that it was emotion I was walking through every day. One of the last songs I wrote in there too, is called Stupid Love. It's kind of one of my favorite there too.
Yeah.
It's my wife came back after working, and she's my wife now. She wasn't my wife then, but she came to the apartment after a long day of working. I wasn't doing anything. Actually, no, 2018. She was my wife then, yeah. So she came back. I wasn't doing anything, and she asked me, "What have you done today?" And I promise you, I played nothing but Assassin's Creed that day. That was the entire day for me. And as I was playing the game, I was actually inspired by one of the characters in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Agapios, who ends up dying, obviously. But it was out of love, and so I decided to write a story that kind of tells a story of love, that it ends very poorly for someone, but it being worth it all. So those were the 3 songs I was writing that year.
Nice. And that was was it technically an EP or that you released?
Yeah,
Or...
EP. I guess one of the things, actually, we got into a conversation with a friend, and they were asking how they live in UK, and they were saying, how do you guys calculate what's an album? Is it by minutes or by tracks? And we never even got to the end of that conversation. But I think it's if you're counting, it's still an EP either way.
Okay.
Because an album would be 25 minutes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you released that. Did you produce that yourself, or did you go into a studio to produce?
I actually went to a friend of mine that has a basement studio in his house. And he recorded a lot for me, and he mixed and produced and did a lot of the work for me. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of your first taste into the craziness that is releasing music in the 21st century, so to speak, with Spotify and all the streaming stuff. So and then, of course, obviously 2020 comes around, and does 2020, I don't even want to say what happened in 2020, because everybody listening knows exactly what happened. And you were able to, during all that, you were able to keep busy releasing singles and whatnot. But you did take a little bit of a break, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So that kind of brings us to your most recent single, Home, which was originally recorded on a live album.
Yes.
Okay.
So the way, I guess that story is that was in 2019. There's a place called the Lidman's River West Inn. It's in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And actually at the time, I was doing this thing where I just hit up any open mic, because I was, trying to get into the scene, and also trying to try out these songs that I had just written. Home was one of them, and at the time, I wasn't sure about it. It was actually my least favorite at the time. And I think it was just because I hadn't processed the entire feeling, so I wasn't singing it from a place of conviction.
Yeah.
So I played it, but at Linneman's, I was the featured artist, and they hit record. And then, at the end of the set, they gave me the CD, and they were like, hey, this is your featured artist CD. And it sounded good at the time. And I thought, oh, well, what's it going to break? And I just put it out there. And then now, obviously, over time, as I've played the song, and I play with a couple of different people now too, and we played the song more and more, and it just became more real and meant so much more to me. And so I decided to re-release it with a full band.
Nice.
Yeah.
So obviously, figuring into the full band, was there any other major changes from when you recorded it in 2019 to now? Did you change chorus or anything, or is it all pretty much the same basic song?
It's a little bit the same. It sounds different. and I think, I play it on, I don't play the acoustic on it at all anymore. And the bass, the drums, everything adds a lot more to it. And I think the basically the image kind of came together. I had my friend Rebecca Rivera that I told this story of this song, and I wanted her to basically sing my mom. So the little voice that you hear in the background is supposed to emulate my mom. The song is about being feeling at home when you're so far away from where you believe you belong.
Yeah.
And so thinking of my mom and thinking of her being the most clear image and picture that I have of home, I wanted my friend to sing it. And I think that really added so much for me, at least when I listen to it. It's just a complete song now from before.
Yeah. And now, is your family back in Uganda, or are they still in the States somewhere?
They're in Uganda now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So for home, why did you kind of decide this was the song that you wanted to re-record and re-release now?
So literally because I was in love with it.
Okay.
I played it for the guys at an acoustic, and they had heard it before. And then I played it again for them. And I said, I want to make this a full band type of thing, and I want to record it. I want to play it at in Appleton at the show that we were going to do. And I remember there was something different about that show because we got to the town and everyone seemed so, it's like almost like they knew you before, and the way they greeted you, the way they welcomed you, the way they embraced you. The reception was just so beautiful. And then when we played that song, it at that point it clicked for me, and I felt it. I felt at home. I felt everything. So I told them, like, we're going to re-release this song. I wasn't before, but now I'm with you guys, and you've added so much to it, and something just feels right. And so I wanted the first song that I re-release to be that one. But it's kind of a double meaning too. In 2020, my wife and I bought a house. And obviously you can imagine buying a house in that time was super crazy.
Yeah.
But, we kept the faith and we did it. And the house that we bought had a disconnected section, which is a garage and a barn. And the barn was completely open, just nothing but siding. And, they were just kind of keeping, the previous owners are kind of keeping everything and anything, I should say, in it. So when I saw the barn and we were taking a tour of the house, I knew right away, this is the houses I want. Thank goodness we went inside. My wife liked it too, because that would be a very awkward conversation, but I really just wanted it for the barn. And so once we, finished everything and signed it, I got in, I said, I'm going to build this barn into a live room, and we're going to record every song from here on out in this space. And I wish I could turn around the camera and show it to you, because I'm really proud of it. So I got to work, and I wanted to kind of prove a point. And COVID kind of helped me out in that situation, because I had to do it by myself. I really had no choice, because of, kind of social distancing and stuff. So I took that whole, from June when we bought it, all the way to, November, because I had to finish before the cold got here, all the way to November, just working, insulating the whole place, keeping out the cold, insulating it for the sound, running the cables and the wire, and digging a trench for the internet and all this stuff, and finally finished. And so I thought, what would be more perfect than recording home, inside your home, and releasing that as the very first song. So that's why I released it first. Sorry for the long answer.
Oh no, it was perfect. That was awesome. So you made it in time before the frigid temperatures of Wisconsin.
Yeah, a few of the time, it gets cold. It gets cold like in October, really.
Yeah.
So a few of the times I actually had to put on a jacket and shiver through it. But I actually discovered a couple of interesting tricks of getting the hand warmers and stuffing them in your pockets and in your gloves, and you kind of keep going from there. But by that time, I had most of it wrapped up, so it wasn't as open. Yeah. So I was able to finish that up then.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And so then you did you bring in an engineer, or did you start figuring all that stuff out yourself and recorded everything yourself?
I figured that as far as recording and getting all the tracking and doing all that, I think I was lucky enough to be around quite a few engineers when I was playing in 2019. So I kind of picked up just a few things, and I asked a friend of mine, a friend who owns the studio, helped me record the first time, just a couple of tricks. What would you do for this, and what would you do for that? And so finally, I actually did it as a surprise, and I mic'd everything, recorded everything, had the guys come in, record the drums, everything like that. And I sent him the track, and I told him, hey, I just recorded this in the room, the live room. Could you check it out? And he texts me back. He's like, this sounds really, really good. And
nice.
I was so happy. I was excited because he would be the very honest person to say, hey, man, this sounds like crap. Please don't record in there again.
Yeah.
Well,
and the fact that you got it like toned right, where there's no or minimal reverb and all that stuff, that's the hardest thing, at least for me. When I try and record stuff, it's like the reverb kills me. And we try and do live sessions in the most obscure of places, and it's not easy. So
I can't imagine. It took a long time, and I honestly, it's a process that I don't wish to repeat, and I'm so glad it worked out really quickly.
Yeah. Where are you kind of at writing wise now? Are you working on writing new stuff, or are you already kind of in the process of recording? Where are you kind of at creatively?
Yeah. So I'm actually we're recording the new stuff that I wrote in 2021. We're recording it right now. There are 5 tracks that are going to be on the new stuff, and I think I'm going to roll them out as singles, just kind of going back and forth with how the industry is these days. Every song kind of needs its time in the sun. So we're recording them and then rolling them out, and recording another and then rolling it out. But I'm in the recording phase right now. And then actually, coincidentally, this weekend, I go off to write. I found that I think taking myself away from my daily environment, and just kind of going off somewhere where I have no escape almost, helps me to at least sit down and, process all the emotions I'm feeling, and process the things I've been through, and kind of what I want to say, or if there's a message I really want to put out there, I'm able to write about it then. So I'll be doing that this weekend for 2023.
Awesome. Where do you go when you get into one of these writing sessions? Where do you usually run off to?
So I've done one, and the one, it was in a place in Eau Claire, which is about 5 hours, about five and a half hours from where I am. And it was deep in the forest, like this cabin that was on Airbnb, which was interesting because when I pulled up, I literally thought, I was like, oh, you made a mistake, Ben. You shouldn't be out here, by yourself in this cabin. And you're gonna for a couple of days, and the nearest grocery shop was probably like 45 minutes.
Oh wow.
So I was like, oh well, I'm far removed. If anything goes wrong, I guess let me leave my wife a letter, and maybe she'll at least know how I feel, or something like that. But I do something like that where I found a cabin really far away, something that's just very low signal. I'm not going to be able to distract myself with a phone or anything like that, and that's what I do.
Awesome. So you basically make your own writer's retreat.
I guess essentially that's what it would be. Yes.
Nice. Are you going back up to the same place this time, or are you going somewhere different?
I think I'm going to check out someplace different. There's a place I saw in Eckhart, which is 2.5 hours. 5 hours was really far. I mean, I thought, even driving there, I thought, man, that I should have really just, there's a lot of places that were probably 2 hours that would have been fine. So I'm going to cut it a little bit short in driving time. It's 2 hours away, and there's a cabin I really saw that I really liked. It's next to a pond and all this whole thing. So, and it's super cheap. So I just thought would be nice.
Yeah. You said Elkhart, right?
Yeah.
In Indiana?
No, in Wisconsin. Elkhart.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's an Elkhart, Indiana. So I was like, oh, wait, hold on a minute. So, yeah. No, that's cool. And that'll be this weekend, kind of spending your time working on new music for 2023.
Yeah. And then hopefully I'll the next time later in the year, I'll take my band and we'll record the whole thing.
Awesome.
Or we will at least work on getting everything dialed in.
Gotcha. Yeah. So is the plan right now to kind of aim for an EP to do singles and then the EP, or do you have aspirations of doing a full album?
So it's going to be, I think it's going to be kind of a full-on project. The funny thing is the 3 songs on the first EP, One Now Is Stupid Love and Letters to You. It's so funny. I think this is probably an experience that maybe a lot of musicians share too. The moment I finished putting a period on the first song, I ran to the studio. I mean, because it was something that I had never done. Obviously, I'd never written something that just fully came from the heart. I was super excited about. So I ran to the studio and gave the songs absolutely no time to mature, to kind of sit and marinate. I was just so excited to get something out there. And I almost felt like, that it's just something that I've been waiting to do all my life. So let me just do it. Let me just do it and get it done. Now that I've had a lot of time to sit with the songs, to play them with the full band, they sound way different than they sound on the first release. Yeah. So I wanted to, just like Home sounds completely different, I wanted to put some of those in. I won't really release them as singles or something like that. I'll kind of put them all in there and put them on a vinyl, and side A, side B type of thing, where side A is all the new songs and side B are all the old songs, but with a band and reimagined. So that's gonna be this year. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. You said vinyl, so my ears perked right up. I'm all about the vinyl. I'm so glad it's making a comeback, and I just hope they find a way to print it cheaper or make it so that musicians can actually not have to worry about losing their home if they go and press vinyl. So
it's funny you say that. That's the one thing that when I mentioned to a couple of my friends, like I'm thinking of doing a vinyl project, they both were like, "Ooh." So I'm saving up.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why whenever I go to a show, if the band or musician, whoever I'm going to see, if they have vinyl, and I obviously if I can afford it, because like vinyl, just buying it at a show, it's going to easily run you $35, $40, like whatever it is. And it's like, if I can afford it, I'm going to buy that because I know like the risk they took ordering vinyl. So plus, just having that hard copy and really cool piece of artwork in your hand that's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, so. Good, man. Well, thanks for doing that. On behalf of all the musicians, that really means a lot because, I did the math and my goodness, it's up there. But hopefully there's more people like you.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm interested in, trying to grow the vinyl collection, because I remember when I was a young kid, my mom had her vinyl collection. This was like right as vinyl, like CDs were already out at this point, but vinyl was kind of like the dying breed. Like unless you like lived in a big city where you could go to a record shop, you really couldn't get vinyl anymore.
Right.
And she ended up selling her vinyl collection, and so I just remember.
I want to ask you something. I think it's something we talk about. We sit and talk about a lot of things, but do you think that's ever going to be the same thing for like cassette tape or CDs?
So, funny thing is, cassette tapes, they're oddly starting to make a comeback as well.
Okay.
mainly because for like just the nostalgia aspect of it. There's a lot of DIY like punk rock bands that they're buying up uh, cassette tapes and just kind of re-releasing it, but I don't see that having like a mass appeal, kind of like vinyl does,
Okay.
because vinyl, there's just something about the sound quality. It's an experience, like there's a whole experience behind vinyl, whereas cassette, there's no real added benefit to listening to cassette. It's just kind of there, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I think in that aspect, cassette, they might come back because, oh, hey, we used to listen to cassettes as a kid, here, cool.
Yeah.
But I think vinyl, if they can get it to where it could be manufactured cheaply or effectively, I think that'll have some long-term staying power.
I hope it does.
Because,
I hope it does. Yeah.
that's just kind of my thought on the whole process. And then CDs, maybe not, I don't know. Like I remember as a kid being excited to go get CDs, but
Yeah.
it is.
We listened to a lot of things on cassette, at least for me growing up. It was just cassette or nothing,
Yeah.
And my first CD player, I was super excited for that. Yeah. So I do hope maybe they make a comeback, even for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the issue with cassette tapes compared to like vinyl is they're not making cassette tapes anymore. Like, so everything that people are buying is leftover stock that just never got sold. So like from like whoever some of the big cassette tape manufacturers are, they just have a stockpile and it's up on Amazon or, wherever you can get secondhand stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so, which is fine, but eventually that stuff's going to get more and more expensive. Like it's already pretty expensive to get like a 6-pack thing of blank cassette tapes. You're going to pay $18-20 for that. And it's like, no, it was supposed to be a cheap alternative, so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. So, but so kind of moving forward, you got your writers retreat coming up this weekend. You've got Home out now on Spotify and all that stuff, and of course all the exciting new music coming out later this year and going into next year. What is your live show situation looking like? Are you actively doing those right now, or what's kind of the scene doing up there in Kenosha?
Yeah, the live, I love playing live. I think the whole band does. I think every musician loves playing live.
Yeah.
It's really sometimes the goal, the end all. We're having a couple of shows coming up. Well, one is actually this weekend in Minneapolis. So if there's anyone listening from Minneapolis, we'll be at the Wooden Ship Brewing.
Nice.
So a friend of mine is doing a 1-year anniversary for his brewery, and would love to go out and support him. So please come out, support us, support him. And then when we come back, there was a show that we're doing in Kenosha at the Ruther High School, and it's to honor and support the Grace Welcome Center, which is a center here, our church and center here in Kenosha. And then after that, we're doing a couple of shows kind of all over the place. Sheboygan, Milwaukee. We'll go down to Chicago for a little bit too, which is going to be fun. And then in the summer, we're actually going to do it's not super confirmed yet, so I don't want to jinx myself, but we're doing a couple of shows in the summer, kind of in Denver, Indiana, Ohio,
Nice.
Missouri. So there's a couple of shows that we're getting really excited to do. If you go to my website, you definitely will see those.
Awesome. So you're not necessarily a tour. They'd be more like one-off, fly out and do a one-off show. Is that kind of what it is? Or would you build a little mini tour around those?
Yeah, we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do a mini tour around it, assuming obviously everything stays put, and we obviously know how that can turn around really quick. So we're going to kind of do a little bit of a mini tour starting from Ohio, going down to Denver.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, tours are fun. have you done a tour at all? Like,
Yes. Oh man, it was bittersweet.
uh-huh.
The first one, I guess it was it wasn't my band or anything like that. So but it was just an honor to be part of the trip,
Hmm.
and even just be asked to play. I was playing lead guitar for him, and it was fun. Normally I drive when on long
Yeah.
trips. Normally I drive because it gives
Yeah.
me something to do, and if I don't, I start to
Yeah.
get it. I can't imagine just staring at the road. And we were
Yeah.
going down to Texas, and it's just flat the
Yeah.
entire way there,
Yep.
and I slowly started to lose my mind. So
Yep.
yeah, it was interesting.
I'm about to make that drive here in about a week and a half. I'm going from where I'm at in Texas up to South Chicago. So
Oh God.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. Like it just is well, and I'm actually going to be driving, so it's like it gives me, like you said, it gives you something to do. But
Yeah.
um, just seeing different parts of the country, and just even though you're only interacting with people for 10 minutes at a time when you get out to go to the gas station, to go to the bathroom, get food, whatever it is, but
Yeah.
just kind of having those brief interactions with locals that you don't usually get to have is also really cool. So
Yeah, I love pit stops. We in college we drove down to New Orleans like twice,
nice.
and I enjoyed it. Man, it was really cool. But we took our time getting there.
Yeah.
We took a very long time getting. We stopped on rest stops, jumped in some like small river, and like we did a whole bunch of stuff that was just fun, and it kept the thing entertaining. And so those I don't mind too much, but when you have to get somewhere at a specific time, you can't obviously do that.
Yeah.
And it can really test you a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And especially when you're doing like a big trip for a tour, it's like you live or die by the time, because it's like, okay, we've got 12 hours to drive 9 hours,
Right.
and sort of one of those things. And it's like, man, I've only been on one tour in my entire life, and that was a brutal experience. And I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So
Oh yeah, it can get there, but at the end of the day, we're all still friends. Everybody
yeah.
in the car, and because yeah, I mean, some demons come out at the end of it. To be honest, I'll be honest with that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where it's like when a band first starts, it's like they get along, and then that first tour, it's going to tell you whether that band's going to last or not, because you spend a week in the car together. It's like, oh wait,
Yeah.
I don't really like you. Like I can't stand being around you more than 12 hours at a time. So yeah,
It's funny. Yeah.
it'll test a band for sure.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's got to be exciting, especially with not being able to play that. Did you play much during the pandemic, or was it pretty dead silent in Kenosha?
I actually did not live. So everything went virtual, obviously, and I got really lucky. In 2019, I'd applied to be part of this organization, So Far Sounds, and was just so lucky enough to get into the organization, play a couple shows with them, and then they asked me if I wanted to do some stuff virtually as well.
Nice.
Which really paid off, because again, it was something that I really was trying to do full time and take to the next level. I got a lot of engagement from a lot of different people, and it was just it kept me busy. I obviously played it inside of the house, because I couldn't play it in this space. And now it's funny enough that virtual shows, even though things are opening up, I think are going to be around for a long time.
Yeah.
So we've gotten to use the space for the same thing. So
For sure.
yeah.
Where were you streaming to when you were doing the virtual shows? Was it like Facebook, Instagram, Twitch?
So when So Far does its shows, they actually use Zoom.
Okay.
Use Zoom, and they invite a whole bunch of people in, and you get to do it that way. But then you can also do a pre-recorded, which is a lot of, especially in the very beginning when companies were kind of figuring out how to create the original natural sound, especially for music. You do a pre-recorded and you kind of send it out, and I did a lot of that.
Yeah. You brought up something that I'm surprised more people didn't do, which was the Zoom shows, like doing like private, oh, hey, invite only, or even at that point, you could probably sell tickets, just kind of generate a little revenue and whatnot and be like, oh, hey, $5, come in and check the show out, or, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm surprised more musicians didn't do that. So.
What was really interesting and awesome to know that people are still good, humanity's still alive, is people knowing that everyone's struggling at this point. And so if someone said, hey, can you pay $5 to come and watch a Zoom thing? People actually did. They spent that extra, $5 that they had, and they came out and supported you. There's a lot of places, obviously restaurants did a lot of things that try to make things work, and people did support them. So I was really, really thankful for people that did that, and for how people came together in that way too, and just made it work.
For sure. It was a really interesting time in the world, so to speak. Yeah. And you saw a lot of really cool creativeness come out of it, where, whether it be from musicians and the writing aspect, or just figuring out a way to keep their dreams alive, whether it's doing the virtual shows or, I had a buddy that would do front porch sessions. And so every day at like 5 p.m. or whatever it was, he'd go sit out on his front porch, start playing music, and then eventually, given enough time, all his neighbors and people would be sitting out on their front porches just to listen to him play.
That's awesome.
It was, it was one of those deals where it ended up getting some attention for him, which really worked out. And then people would come out to the front yard as like different restrictions would ease and whatnot. So, yeah, it was really cool.
It's really cool. But I'm sorry. I used Sessions Live, which is another one, which is really cool, and it has its own Streams Lab, which they're using OBS and now they use Streams Lab. And then the last one was a Timber Radio, which is actually locally from Chicago, TAMBR. They also have their own platform that they use, and it both really, really amazing applications, really amazing software. The way they set everything up was really cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So I don't want to keep you too much longer, since it is a little bit later at night. But outside of music, what do you do? What do you kind of do to escape from the pressures that music brings, or just decompress?
I actually enjoy. It's a weird thing. Someone asked me that. I enjoy working on different projects, like where I'll come home and my wife, obviously would come home too, and she'll be tired, I'll be tired, and she'll sit on the couch and we read a book, and then I'll start cleaning the house because somehow that like de-stresses me, and I feel like, okay, I'm actually doing something. And if there's a project to do, maybe it's in the summer, or building something, or working on anything like that, to keep my mind kind of doing something active, but thinking about something completely different. I like to do that. Otherwise, I play basketball and, go sit at the beach. I love the beach in Kenosha. It has a whole like long, if you've been to Kenosha, I don't know if you've been to Kenosha, but it has a pier that people walk on. But, outside of the pier, on the other side of the pier, there's these rocks, massive rocks that they put at the lakes. I'm guessing to like slow the waves or break the waves. But if it's in the summertime, I will lay out there like a salamander, because I grew up with a ton of sun. So I know it doesn't shine in Kenosha too long. So I will sit, at the rocks and just grill myself until the winter comes. And so any opportunity I get, that's where you'll find me.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of that sun while you can out there in Kenosha. It's just, I've been to Kenosha maybe once in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, like I mean, obviously, I grew up in the north side of Chicago, and Kenosha's what maybe
45 minutes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's really not that different, but it's yeah, you got to take advantage of that sun while you can.
Oh
So,
yeah.
no, that's really cool. I do appreciate you taking your time to sit down and chat with us. If anybody wants to check out the new single, any of your upcoming shows, interact with you on social media, any of that fun stuff, where's the best place to do that?
Yeah, you can do that on Spotify, everywhere you choose to listen to your music, iTunes, Spotify. You can watch the videos on YouTube. And just last thing, the new single, The Outside, as we were just talking about it before the streaming started, will be out on Memorial Day, May 30th. Really, really excited for you to hear it. It's just something I'm super excited about. I think more excited about it than most of the other songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it.
Awesome. And then kind of just piggybacking off of the social media, what's been your favorite social media platform to interact on?
Instagram. I actually love interacting on Instagram. I normally reply to people's stories or messages a lot quicker on there as well. And I love scrolling through and looking at a lot of what the other artists are doing and what my friends are doing. And I normally just start conversations right there when I can, see like, hey, they've been at the show, and just say, hey, how was it? So I love that. I love Instagram.
For sure. I'm less likely to forget you on Instagram. So
yeah.
I don't know what it is. On Facebook, I'll just forget that they messaged me, but on Instagram, it's like, nope, for whatever reason, I'm focused.
Yeah, me too.
But it also could be one of those deals where I don't get a lot of messages on Instagram.
Yeah, maybe.
And it's just kind of like, okay, it's a little bit easier to keep track of. Whereas Facebook, it's like, I get so many new notifications and all this stuff. It's like, sorry, forgot,
Yeah.
So
It's, I guess, an easier platform to.
Yeah, for sure. But once again, I do want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with us. I absolutely appreciate it. It's been an absolute blast. And if I ever get a chance to come up to Kenosha, which actually I'll be in Rockford in July. How far is Kenosha from Rockford?
2-3 hours. Maybe 2 hours.
If we could swing if you have a show when I'm going to be up there, I will. I'm going to need the pick me up. We're not going there for a good reason. Okay. So,
did you said you're in Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm in Texas.
Well, we might see you next year, maybe.
Okay, that works as well. It's one of those things we're trying to get to Chicago or get back up to Chicago because my sister's having giving birth to her first child in August, September, somewhere in that ballpark. And so we're trying to get up that way more. And in July, my mother passed away last July. And so we're going up this July to finally lay her ashes to rest. So, yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
We'll be up there. And if I can make a trip out to Kenosha, I will definitely be doing that. So
please do.
Awesome. But once again, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with us. Ben, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat. It's been a great conversation, and would love to have you back on the next time you have a big single. I hate saying it that way, but like a big release, a single, whatever it is, would definitely love to get you back on. But other than that, thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us, and we will catch you all later.
All right. Thank you.